Now, Ramon Tremosa.
Grazie, Presidente Gualtieri. Buen día, señor Campa. Buenos días. En primer lugar, felicitarle porque en el hearing de Estrasburgo usted consiguió que los coordinadores en 5 minutos nos pusiéramos de acuerdo. Esto no sucede fácilmente ni sucede muy a menudo. Su hearing fue muy convincente y espero que pueda realizar un gran trabajo en los próximos años. Yo tengo una pregunta sobre NPLs, Non-Performing Loans, que es para mí un tema no resuelto y, de hecho, la unión bancaria está bloqueada por discrepancias sobre el alcance del risk reduction and risk sharing entre países y no sé si estamos preparados para evitar otra oleada de NPLs masivos en caso de una crisis como en 2008. Esta es una pregunta que le quiero hacer porque, si usted se fija, esta ha sido una de mis obsesiones en estos años y, por ejemplo, Mario Draghi, el 21 de noviembre de 2017, en uno de sus hearings en la Comisión de Economía, le pregunté por este tema y él dijo que en el origen de los NPLs estaba la no buena transposición y aplicación de la ley de morosidad, Ley Payment Directives. Como ustedes saben, en el norte de Europa se aplica muy bien a rajatabla, se pagan las facturas a 30 días. En los países del sur de Europa pues hay casos en que grandes multinacionales pagan a 300, 500 días, ¿no? Incluso Mario Draghi acusó no solo a multinacionales, sino también a gobiernos de impagar durante años facturas, provocando paro masivo, cierre de miles de pequeñas empresas solventes y, por tanto, no estamos, en mi opinión, no solo en la mía, sino de Mario Draghi en aquel día, preparados para ello, ¿no? Entonces, por ejemplo, en el caso de España, en esta legislatura que ha finalizado ahora, no se ha podido aprobar un reglamento de sanciones para el caso de la morosidad empresarial. ¿Qué piensa usted de esto? Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. You asked me basically about how worrisome should we, or how worried should we be about the current status of the NPLs and the robustness of the banks to be able to confront a crisis such as the 2008 crisis. Let me start by saying that the 2008 crisis was a spectacularly large crisis, a crisis that at the time we used to say was a crisis that was similar to the 1930s. If that's the case, let's hope that it doesn't come with the frequency, or let's hope that it doesn't come with a higher frequency than 80 years. Okay, so we might be in a situation which we might be confronted with a cyclical downturn, an economic downturn in the Union, but hopefully we will not find a systemic crisis in the banking sector to the extent that there was in 2008. The regulation that has been put in place, the degree of capitalization of banks, which is significantly higher than it was before, the lack of concentration in certain parts of sectors of the economy, of the loan books of some of those countries, and some of the macroeconomic programs that have been put in place by countries are all helping in that direction. So I don't think that we should have that concentration of new NPLs, in particular banks, countries, or sectors like we did before. In terms of the issue that you raised, which I very much share your view on the late payments directive, the late payments in some parts of the Union. You know, this is a relatively specific issue, but a very important issue, because it also reflects underlying not just the fact that there's late payments, but the fact there's also market power in those sectors of the economy, because it tends to be usually either the large companies, the large buyers, or the governments, as you mentioned, or some other entity in that particular sector that's capable to exercise the power relative to the rest of the players, the value-added chain. Call them SMEs, medium companies, other companies. And that just reflects an underlying issue of lack of effective competition in those sectors. And I think it's very important that, to the extent possible, you know, we are moving towards a situation in which there's more effective payments, there's less average period to pay your working capital needs, call it, you know, accounts receivable, things of that sort. And more important, that time does not increase in terms of crisis, which is what tends to happen in some of these economies, you know. And you mentioned the Spanish legislation. As you know, Spain has put forward legislation a number of times to try to formally reduce this. The real challenge here is also that imposing a fixed time to pay, it's a very intrusive rule at the same time into a principle which is the liberty of contracts, of free contracting among private parties. You know, so if you think that there's really that ability to engage freely in the free contracting and part of the contract is the terms of payment, then you don't want to impose a unique length. But of course, if you think, as I said, that it's an issue of market power, then it is important maybe to impose that kind of restriction.
Thank you. Ernest Urtasun.
Sí, gracias, señor Campa. Tres preguntas muy rápidas. Quizá primero sus reflexiones sobre los stress test, cómo los mejoraría usted, teniendo en cuenta que venimos de un periodo en el cual los stress test han fallado sistemáticamente en poder detectar problemas en el sector financiero. Mi segunda pregunta tiene que ver con la venta fraudulenta de productos financieros, particularmente porque usted en estos momentos tiene una responsabilidad en una institución financiera, el Santander, que ha tenido que asumir en España multas millonarias por ventas fraudulentas. Nosotros no estamos muy satisfechos, tengo que decirle, con la gestión del señor Henry en esta materia. Nos gustaría saber qué ideas tiene usted desde la EBA, en su capacidad supervisora, para intentar frenar este tipo de prácticas. Y la tercera cuestión, señor Campa, que quisiera plantearle, a nosotros también nos genera problemas el hecho de que salte usted directamente de una responsabilidad de una entidad financiera con responsabilidad de relaciones directamente con los reguladores, directamente a la Autoridad Bancaria Europea. Creo que va a tener que hacer un sobreesfuerzo para intentar demostrar que no va a haber ningún tipo de conflicto de intereses en su nueva responsabilidad. Y mi pregunta concreta en esta materia es si usted a día de hoy sigue siendo empleado del Santander o no, y si no cree que hubiera sido mejor presentarse al cargo por el cual opta hoy y se presenta hoy usted, habiendo abandonado ya esa responsabilidad. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias. Let me try to address the questions. The first question on the issue of stress tests and how to improve them. I think there's already, I will be a little bit less critical, probably, that you seem to imply from your question or from your intervention about whether stress tests can be helpful or not. You know, stress tests, I think they have been helpful. They have increased tremendously the degree of transparency, and they have increased tremendously also the degree of perception of robustness of different institutions in a situation of stress. Now, it's like everything in life. You can think about whether the glass is half full or half empty. You know, I wouldn't say that the goal of the stress test as they currently stand is to identify banks that fail. But it's probably to provide a ranking of banks that are more vulnerable to failure than others. And if you use that standard, if you were to look at that across the board, my sense is that, you know, when you look at stress tests and then you see banks that have gotten into issues of solvency, those banks, if they were covered by the stress test, they tend to come out on the weaker side of the distribution of the results. So in that sense, you know, it's not a one-to-one prediction. Okay, there's, for those of us that are statisticians, there's always type 1 and type 2 error, but it's relatively robust at signaling where vulnerabilities may exist. Having said that, there's an open debate, and the EBA, the previous chair already mentioned this, an open debate and open discussion that the EBA wants to engage in how to reform these stress tests going forward. Probably not for the 2020 cycle, because that's already in some ways advanced. There will be small methodological changes, but yes, for the next cycle. And as chair of the EBA, I certainly would want to be proactive in fostering that debate and trying to reach some conclusions. Second, I think that fraudulent sales in the financial sector, I think this is, the principle should be zero tolerance. You know, the principle should be zero tolerance. The question is what zero tolerance means, and how can you assure that zero tolerance is effective? You know, so basically, what is adequate information in the provision of financial services? What's adequate pre-assessment on the ability to engage in contracts, in particular products, by both sides, by the institution and by the customer? Okay, and that basically has to come from two very broad guidelines, which is large amounts of transparency and large amounts of orientation of what we call profiling of the customers, making sure that, you know, the products are being sold to the right customer. But overall, and I think I mentioned that in my overall intervention, no? Consumer protection, I think it's an issue that will be increasing its relevance going forward. In the last 5-6 years, it's been a lot about solvency and resolution in banking. I think as we go forward, issues of consumer protection will be at the core. And I think that the industry has a lot of work to do in that front. Third issue about my relationship with Santander. I see that this is obviously an area of interest or concern in the Parliament. You asked me, what could I do? I guess what I could offer is I'm very happy to come to this institution and report at any point, on any of these issues. If you think that there's any possibility or any situation which I may not be engaging adequately because of my previous relationship with Santander, that's obviously an offer that I think it should be probably thought by default, but I'm making it explicit, of course. And you asked me explicitly, am I still an employee of Santander? The answer is yes. I'm still an employee. I'm on my way out. You asked me, will it be better not to be an employee of Santander? Probably for the purpose of applying for the EBA job, yes. But as you can imagine, I also have a work life, a life that I need to work for. And the EBA position is a very uncertain outcome. So to leave the institution first, to apply for the job, it's a risk that maybe I could have taken, but I thought it was not proportionate, to be honest. And I don't think, to be honest, whether I left the Banco Santander 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks before today would have made a substantial difference on the issues that we'll have to confront going forward if I EBA chair. I think that the relationship and the potential conflicts of interest or biases in my approach that has been pointed will probably remain.
Thank you very much also for this very honest answer to this last difficult question. And now I think we can conclude. We can conclude this now very interesting hearing. Thank you very much. And we will now make a suspension and we'll come back for the votes at 12:30. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to future interactions, I hope.
Yes. Hi. Dear colleagues, let's start with the test, our voting session. The vote is open for a test. Okay. Still some colleagues, please, may all colleagues put their voting cards into the machine. Okay, so good. So we start with reconsultations on trilogue's outcome. First is Sophie in 't Veld report on PEPs. Congratulations to the rapporteur for work in the trilogue, and we open the vote by roll call vote. PEPs, the vote is open. Okay, the vote is closed. 25 in favor, 4 against, 17 abstentions. Adopted. Congratulations to the rapporteur. And now we move to Mr. Ockmar's two reports, which are part of the banking package. Let me also congratulate with you and with Mr. Simon and the team for this very important positive outcome of a very difficult piece of legislation. So I think we did a very good work, and the vote is open by roll call vote.
Vice coordinator.
The vote is closed. 44 in favor, 4 against, 0 abstentions. Congratulations. Second vote, it was SRM. Now we go to the BRD. If I'm correct, the vote is open by roll call vote. Vote is closed. 44 in favor, 4 against, 0 abstention. Very broad majority. Congratulations. You would like to say something, please.
Yes. First of all, I'm moved by the support. But more seriously, I would like to thank all the shadows. We have had a very difficult file, but we had very good discussions, and we were, not least in the final negotiations with Council, we had the opportunity to be very constructive together, so we did manage it, and you did a tremendous job as a chair, but I would really like to thank, well, all the shadows, but, well, you are here, and I thank all the others as well. And it was, I must say, also the last reports I have been working with in this Parliament, so for me it's extra moving, of course. Thank you.
So you deserve an applause. Now, it's been a real pleasure to cooperate with you and with all the negotiating team. And now we move to Peter Simon to reports. For CRD 5, vote is open. Vote is closed. 41 in favor, 2 against, 5 abstentions. And second one, CRR 2, vote is open. Vote is closed. 41 in favor, 2 against, 5 abstentions. Very broad majority as well. And congratulations also to you, Peter, and to all the team. I don't know if you would like to say something.
Ja, herzlichen Dank an dieser Stelle auch an alle Schattenberichterstatter. Und ich bin froh, dass auch dieses Ergebnis zeigt, dass wenn wir hier in diesem Haus im Sinne der Kooperation uns auch in schwierigen Fragen zusammenraufen, wir eine starke Verhandlungsposition gegenüber dem Rat haben. Und ich wünsche all den Nachfolgern, die dann Basel III finalisieren in der nächsten Legislatur mit den dann anstehenden Legislativvorschlägen, dass ihnen eine genauso gute Zusammenarbeit gelingt, weil das vorhin in den Anhörungen der Kandidaten angesprochene Thema Proportionalität beispielsweise auch da wieder ganz massiv hochkommen wird. Ich bedanke mich für die Zusammenarbeit in den letzten Jahren und wohlgemerkt all denjenigen, die den Rest dann in der kommenden Legislatur beenden werden. Viel Erfolg dabei.
Thank you very much, Peter. Again, congratulations and thank you for the very good cooperation. So we really have here two really top-class, excellent colleagues, and we should really be proud of your role here in this committee, in this parliament. Thank you again. So let's move to now voting of appointments. First, we have SRB member. We have an oral amendment by the EPP. So we vote, is a separate vote, no? Or we is first the oral amendment. Okay, first the oral amendment. Those in favor? Against? Abstentions? Adopted. And now we vote by secret ballot the appointment of Ms. Laviola as board member of the SRB for a 5-year term. The vote is open. Vote is closed. 37 in favor, 8 against, 3 abstentions. Congratulations to Mr. Laviola. Now we vote for the opinion on the consultation on the appointment of Mr. Lane as member of the Executive Board of the European Central Bank. First, we have an oral amendment by the S&D Group. Those in favor? Against? Abstentions? Adopted. Now we vote on the approval of the appointment of Philip Lane as member of the Executive Board of ECB for an 8-year term by secret ballot. The vote is open. The vote is closed. 33 in favor, 8 against, 6 abstentions. Congratulations to Mr. Lane. And finally, we vote on the appointment of Mr. Campa as the chairperson of the European Banking Authority. First, we have an oral amendment by S&D Group. Those in favor? Against? Abstentions? Adopted. Now we vote approval of the appointment of Mr. Campa as chairperson of the EBA for a 5-year term by secret ballot. The vote is open. The vote is closed. 35 in favor, 8 against, 5 abstentions. Adopted. Congratulations also to Mr. Campa. And I would like to say also that, yes, okay, first Pervanche, then I will say also my message on. I suspect we are going to speak on the same topic, but please.
Peut-être. Non, je pense que ces 3 nominations sont des nominations importantes. Je ne doute pas que la procédure de sélection que nous avons suivie a permis de sélectionner des candidats qui exerceront dans des bonnes conditions leurs prochaines responsabilités. Mais je veux pointer une vraie difficulté que malheureusement, je vois, nous ne résoudrons pas dans ce Parlement, puisqu'en réalité, nous venons de procéder aux dernières nominations au cours de ce mandat. Mais la question du gender balance ou de la représentation des femmes dans cet univers des nominations qui dépendent de notre commission s'est dégradée au cours de ce mandat. Puisque Danielle Nouy n'est plus présidente du SSM, elle a été remplacée par un homme, et il en va de même, de ce que je comprends, de son adjointe Sabine Leuchtenberger, qui s'apprête à quitter ses fonctions sur la base de règles dépendant de la Banque centrale, indépendamment de ce que nous avions défini en législation de niveau 1. Et je pense que c'est un message. Vous vous souvenez, Président, que vous aviez écrit à Mario Centeno pour indiquer notre inquiétude sur les conditions dans lesquelles ces listes sont constituées. Il faut que du côté de la Commission ou du Conseil, puisque c'est les deux organes qui nous envoient des shortlists, ils comprennent qu'à un moment, nous dirons non, puisque c'est le seul langage qui sera compris. Et je crois que cette affaire... il y a un moment où il faut qu'on parle plus brutalement que ce que nous n'avons fait jusqu'à présent si on veut que la réalité change.
Thank you very much, Pervanche. And indeed, we have this, let's say, contradiction that on the one hand, we have voted and adopted very good candidates, and on each individual story, there are reasons for why we arrived. There was only one candidate, no applications, and so we know very well the story. So in each, we have, at least what I think, we don't have, we cannot make specific criticism on the individual cases, but on the other hand, we cannot ignore the fact that overall the picture is a picture where we don't have collectively by the Union sufficient capacity to promote gender balance, which is essential. So, and this is absolutely a political point that we should deal with. And by the way, the gender balance is not the only issue. We have also an issue of different provisions. We discussed it before with Mr. Lane about the value of the consultation. Mr. Langen made a very good point. So we have, of course, individual cases, also the unfortunate situation of this Parliament coming to an end before being able to work on the most important appointment and others. So we have objective problems, difficulties, but we have also an issue, a political issue. So we will also, on the basis of coordinator, raise this problem of a clearly an improvement and enhancement of the capacity of the Parliament to provide overall a more stronger guidance and on the necessary of a stronger ownership by all the institutional bodies who are involved in this selection